All right, boys and girls, let's take a look at lesson 13-8, area of irregular shapes. So we're solving for area still, so we have to remember that we use our formula, length times width equals area, L times W equals A, L for length, the long side, W for width, the wide side. And we also have to remember that we can use the strategy of counting the squares. And when we count them, we have to count all squares. SQ for squares. So let's take a look at this first one. Now, these shapes that we're going to be looking at are going to be irregular. They're not going to be regular shapes that we're used to seeing. Our first step is to create some regular shapes. And we're talking about rectangles here. So here, this whole entire red area is an irregular figure or shape. So I'm going to first decompose or break apart this irregular figure into 3 regular shapes, which are going to be rectangles, okay? Because length times width equals area helps us to find the area of rectangles. And again, squares are rectangles. So I'm going to draw a line here. I'm going to decompose it here. And as I'm decomposing it, I'm cutting into this 8, so that changes that value. I'm also going to cut into it over here as well. All right. When I do that, I'm changing the length of this 2, making it longer on both ends, so I'm not going to use that 2 either. Okay. I'm going to solve for the area of my bottom rectangle. Length times width still. My length is my long side. 8. My width, my wide side. I don't have a number there. Remember, I changed it. So I'm going to use my squares to help me find the length. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. The width is 4 squares wide. So again, length times width, 8 times 4 equals 32 square feet. Now, I'm not done because that's just how many squares are in this area. If I count all of these squares right here, I'm going to end up with 32. I still need to find the areas of my top 2 rectangles. Again, my length times my width, 4 times 3, 4 times 3, 12 square feet. FT stands for feet. And it's identical over here as well. 3 and 4. So the same thing, another 12 squares. Right here, a total of 12. 12 squares are in this area. So 12 plus 12, mental math, that's 24. Plus the 32. Adding them up, make sure I line up my numbers correctly, my ones and my tens place. 4 plus 2, 6. 2 plus 3, 5. So my answer is 56 square feet. Feet is the unit of measurement. FT stands for feet. Okay? So we decomposed it, we found the area of each shape, and we added them because we want the total area since we broke them apart. We want to put them back together. Again, if I were to go back and just count all of these red squares, I would end up with a total of 56. Okay, so we could either use either strategy, but we used the multiplication one. Looking over here, boys and girls, same thing. First step I'm going to do is I'm going to decompose it, break it into 2 shapes that I'm familiar with, 2 rectangles. Okay, so I'm going to solve for the bottom one first. My length, my long side, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units long, and it doesn't tell me feet, centimeters, so I'm sticking with units because I don't have the unit of measurement labeled here. And my width, right here, my width, it is 2 squares long. So here, this is going to be 5 times 2. 5 times 2 is 10. Okay, so 10 square units. Now for the top one, again, my length and my width. My length is 1, 2, 3, stopping at this line, 3 units long, And 1, 2, again, it starts right here, ends here, 2 units wide. So inside this area, I'm going to write my formula because area is the inside. 3 times 2 is 6, so 6 square units. I'm going to combine my 6 and my 10 to get 16 square units. And again, if I were to go back and count all of my squares inside here, I would end up with a total of 16.